begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And we'll have a moment of silence to remember our neighbors, friends, and family who died this past year. Good morning again. I'm Stephen Murphy, Town Moderator, and I am pleased to be with you today. First, we'll introduce those sitting up at the head table. It's our Town Clerk, Robin Durkee, in order. Our current Town Treasurer, Lily Barron. Our Select Board Member, Chris Casey. And Select Board Member Diana Peduzzi. I'll give a brief introduction on 4 points of order: rules, articles, debate, and voting, and then we'll proceed. Robert's Rules of Order are the basic rules of order for this meeting, except where Vermont state law takes precedence. You, members of this assembly, cannot change Vermont law, but by unanimous consent or by a 2/3 vote, you can change Robert's rules. You have the right to challenge the rulings made by the moderator. Please tell the moderator if you think that they have ruled improperly. The job of the moderator is to facilitate the will of the voters. Point 2, articles. An article must be moved and seconded, then stated by the moderator before it is under consideration and debate may begin. An article may have only one amendment at a time associated with it, and likewise, that amendment may have only one amendment at a time associated with it. With respect to an article, an amendment may not change the article's subject or its objective or the means of achieving that objective. Point 3, debate. All motions, remarks, and discussions must be addressed to the moderator, who will do their best to recognize you in the order that you raised your hands. After being recognized, please stand up and state your name. Additionally, we have a microphone that will be passed to the speakers as they rise, and that will ensure that everyone hears you. Thank you. Under Robert's rules, speeches will be limited to 10 minutes. After you've spoken once on an issue, you may not speak on it a second time until every other member of the assembly has had an opportunity to speak on it once. You may be allowed to speak a third time by unanimous consent or 2/3 vote. Speeches must be confined to the merits of the question. You may not engage in personal attacks on a member of the assembly or their motives. Point 4, voting. Only registered voters receive name tags at the check-in table. Please keep these name tags visible to acquaint yourself with your neighbors and to identify yourself as a registered voter. A vote by division of the House may be called by one voter after a voice vote. A vote by paper ballot may be called by 7 voters after a voice vote or after a division of the House, or, according to Woodbury tradition, and now, without objection, and by unanimous consent, a paper ballot may be called by 7 voters before a voice vote or before a vote by division of the House. Hearing no objection to that, let us proceed. Reconsideration of an article is permitted until the point at which the Assembly begins consideration of another article. A motion for reconsideration must be made by a member who voted on the prevailing side. So yes, if you make that motion, I would need to ask how you voted. At this time, I ask those who are not legal voters of the town of Woodbury, please raise your hands. And introduce yourself by stating your name. Would you rise, please, and just state your name?
My name is Kathy Guitard, and I am Dave Barber. I'm just here to...
Yeah, here to the right. Welcome.
Yes,
I hope
you
we're
are
entertained.
welcome here.
Thank you very much.
Anyone in the audience, we need them to be speaking into the mic.
Pardon me. Okay, if you would please repeat again your name.
My name is Kathy Guitard, and I am Dave Barber's mother. And I'm just visiting for the weekend and along to observe your meeting.
Thank you. As we've said, you are welcome here. However, you may not vote. And unless there is a suspension of the rules, you may not make motions or speak in debate. One more point of order on voting by paper ballot. Recently, I attended a moderator training presented by Vermont League of Cities and Towns, VLCT. The training provided information and guidance on the procedure for voting by paper ballot. The information was new to me, and the information was not included in last year's training handbook. So my understanding from this information and the guidance was that the moderator was required to keep a record of voters who cast a ballot by paper vote here. So I explained that to the Select Board at a recent meeting, and also 2 nights ago I explained that at the pre-town meeting forum, and a neighbor asked me, by what authority are you required to keep that record? And I said I didn't know. They asked, was it by a statute or was it by Robert's rule? I said I didn't know, but I tried to get the answer. So yesterday, I contacted Vermont League of Cities and Towns asking for clarification. They replied and informed me that it is not required by law or rule that the moderator keep this checklist of paper ballot voters, but rather it is a recommendation. They stated that it was a should rather than a must. And the recommended procedure is to ensure that the moderator can best achieve the following 3 goals. The first goal is to abide by Vermont state law specifically a law that states that the presiding officer, in this case that's the moderator, shall take reasonable and necessary procedures to ensure that persons who are not registered voters of the town do not vote. So the checklist would promote that. The second goal is that voters only vote once, and that's a basic principle of procedure that's in Robert's Rules. Checklist would do that. And the third goal is to maintain a record of those who voted, and that record would accompany the paper ballots and be kept by the clerk, who keeps them for a specified period of time in the vault at the clerk's office. So, if I am the moderator for beyond Article 1, I intend to use the checklist after paper balloting. Robin and I have worked out a procedure to do it, and I think it would be efficient and effective. If at that time, however, because this is a change in the way we've done things historically, if at that time anyone objects, they may raise a point of order, and we could put it to a vote on the ruling of the moderator. So that's not before us now, but I just want to let you know, and to respond to the question that came up just this past Thursday pre-town meeting forum. So,
Stephen,
yes.
and he needs to be on a mic.
Oh, we have a question or comment from John Reed. Yes.
John Reed. So a question, just to make sure I understand. This would be similar to what we do for general elections, where we record whether someone has voted, but not record how they voted.
Correct. It's similar to an exit checklist. I'll briefly describe how it would happen. The ballot clerks would distribute paper ballots to all registered voters, and then the clerk would have a checklist here. After that would be the ballot box, and the moderator would say, all those with last names A to E, please come forward first to make this in an orderly process. You come up, state your name, get checked off of the checklist, deposit your ballot. Yes, another question. Cindy? And I just want to thank Cindy Gordon right now for passing the mic. Norman,
Yeah, hi. It seems to me this is totally unnecessary. So at what point do we decide whether we're going to do this?
okay, if and when a vote comes to paper ballot.
Okay.
Yes, okay. Okay. All right, so if there's no objection, let us proceed to Article 1. Now, I have stated at a select board meeting and on Thursday that I would accept a nomination to be re-elected as moderator. So, to avoid the appearance of a conflict of interest at Article 1, I'm going to step down now and hand this article over to the select board.
Hello, I hope you can all hear me without a microphone. We are going to start with Article 1. Who shall be elected
Diana,
moderator?
you can use that mic right there.
Oh, Article 1. Who shall be elected moderator? Are there nominations for the office of moderator?
Stephen Murphy.
What?
Stephen Murphy.
Steve Murphy has been nominated. Are there other nominations? So, Paul Cerruti made the nomination. I don't think we need a second. So, no, we don't need to identify himself. Okay, hearing none, without objection and by unanimous consent, we'll close nominations. Any objections? Unanimous consent? Okay. So being the only nominee, Steve Murphy is elected moderator.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Diane. So we'll proceed to Article 2. To consider the printed Woodbury Town Report for the year ending December 31, 2024. Before we get a motion on this, I just want to state a point here that, or answer a question that came up at last year's town meeting, and that was how would we make any corrections to the town report, if anyone has any corrections to be made or changes. And as I explained at pre-town meeting forum on Thursday, I believe it would be in order, if there are corrections to be made, for the moderator to put forward an amended Article 2 that would state, shall the voters approve the following changes to the Woodbury Town Report for the year ending 2024 to be recorded in the minutes of this meeting. So, if there are changes to be made, that's the procedural step that I would suggest. So, okay, Article 2. What is your pleasure with respect to Article 2? Yes.
Stephen, Darren Usinowitz, I was hoping that maybe as representative of the MVU Elementary School Board, I might be able to...
Excuse me for just a moment, Darren.
Yeah.
Are you making a motion? Are you making a motion to bring this to bring Article 2 to the floor? We need a motion and then a second.
Sure, I'll make a motion to bring Article 2 to the floor.
Okay. Second. Okay, seconded by Skip Marcassani. Okay, the article is to consider the printed... Jonah seconded it? Oh.
Well, it doesn't matter.
I Skip. Okay. Competing seconds, all right. Article 2, to consider the printed Woodbury Town Report for the year ending December 31st, 2024. Darren, you made the motion, so you have the privilege of speaking first.
Wow, all right. I guess I wanted to just request a couple of minutes to provide an update in addition to the printed MVU report for the town, if this is the appropriate time to do so.
You may do that, yes. Yes, I just want to state, at the pre-town meeting forum, we discussed the appropriateness of this. I believe that it's in order because you have a report in the printed town report. However, I also want to say we're expecting our representatives, state representatives, to come around noontime, after which, as permitted by the assembly, they would be able to address the meeting. So I just want to let you know, they may be here later. You may speak then also, but just want to let you know. But it is in order for you to speak now about Mountain View Union Elementary School District.
So, all right, I'll stand up and come to the front just so I can see everybody. So MVU is the Mountain View Union Board. It's our elementary district. So it's Woodbury, Stannard, Hardwick, and Greensboro are the four towns. Myself, and I guess one of the updates is Heather Meacham was also recently elected on Tuesday as the other representative for us. So I want to welcome Heather as a town representative as well. Just a couple of quick updates on top of what's already in the report. One, we recently voted to have universal pre-K located at the Lakeview campus in Greensboro This will include transportation. So the understanding now is that anybody in Woodbury can sign up. You would bring your child to school here, they would get on a bus and go to Greensboro. It's the first time we in town have had access to a state-funded pre-K program, so I think that's a win for us. The other thing I guess I wanted to address, well, there's a couple, but the outdoor classroom, which has been in the works and talked about frequently, is slated to hopefully begin construction this summer. Additionally, there has been an architectural firm engaged to discuss replacing the fire escape on the side of the building over here. It was determined by the fire marshal that it does not meet code, and that despite having 2 sets of stairs, we need to have another egress from the building, and so we've begun that process. Hopefully nobody's upset about losing that rickety iron structure. It is a historical building, so I think there's going to be a little bit extra to go along with that. The continued process of finding a new drinking water source for the school to replace what we currently can't use is ongoing, and hopefully this year a suitable site will be determined and a well dug, and we'll have drinking water in the building again. The other kind of last thing I think that I wanted to highlight is up for vote on Tuesday is a bond for PCB remediation at Hardwick Elementary School. So I'm not sure how familiar everybody is, but there's an entire floor of one of the wings that is not being used currently because the testing results fluctuate to can't use it, can use it, can't use it, can use it. And it seems very temperature dependent. And so as a district, it was just kind of determined, why run that risk for children, staff, educators? So there's a lot of space not being used. On the bond, it says it's an energy efficiency project, because that's kind of the way it had to be worded to allow us access to a fund and a grant, as well as a low-interest loan versus just going to the bank and getting a loan. It will have some energy savings. It's not a whole lot, but it is something there. But in the end, in my mind, and certainly for the boards, this is kind of a no-brainer for the district and for the kids. Oh, there was one other thing. Oh, the other last thing, I promise, is I've committed to meeting at least once a month with the select board to try to give updates there and for the town. And one of the things I've realized through kind of some of the discussion about what to do with the Lakeview campus and what to do with the district as a whole is that we're not doing as good a job as we maybe could do in informing everybody in town, in all of the towns, about what's happening, why it's happening, how it's happening, and how things are changing. So meeting with the select board once a month is one way to do that. I'd like to post a little bit more on Front Porch Forum and get more regular with that. And I encourage anybody and everybody to email, call, flag me down in the street. I'm often coming down the hill on the sled with my daughter to bring her to school, so feel free to flag me down there as well. And any other ideas that you have in a way that we can keep everybody engaged and in the process and discussion for the school. So any other questions, I'll be here, and feel free to come see me afterwards, during breaks, etc. So thank you, everybody. Appreciate y'all.
Okay, any more discussion? Yes, Chris Casey.
Hello. I'd like to take a minute to address page 3 of the town report.
Sorry, this is recorded. It's good for recording.
So I'd like to address page 3 of the town report. And if you take a look at that, the town report's dedicated to Brandy Smith, who spent many, many years in dedication to the town. And on behalf of the town and the select board, we just wanted to say thank you. And
Yes, Michael Gray.
So, I know that Vale Leach wasn't living in town when he died, but he was a longtime resident here, and it's my understanding that he died this past year. I certainly appreciated my work with Vale, and just knowing him as a person while he was a town resident. So I just wanted to let you know that he has passed away.
Yes, John Reed.
So I just wanted to provide an update to the CV fiber report that is in the town report. I'm the town's representative to CV fiber. Michael Gray is the alternate and was the representative for many years. So a couple of updates since the town report was sent to the publisher. There are 750 addresses in Woodbury that CV fiber is trying to reach. And CV Fiber is a nonprofit internet fiber company that's owned by Woodbury and 80 other Vermont, central Vermont and northeastern Vermont towns. So there are 750 addresses that in Woodbury we want to reach. The service is passing by 450 of those addresses now. So that's 60%. So that's good. Woodbury is one of the first towns in this district to get internet fiber service. And by the end of the year, another 75 addresses will have service available, mainly in the Bliss, Sand Hill areas. And that leaves about 230 addresses for which CV Fiber is still seeking funding. With the new administration, some of the funding that was anticipated has been put on hold. And those areas are mainly along Route 14, the Cabot Road, and West Woodbury. So most of the service now is to this side of Route 14. Most of the service still to come is on the other side of Route 14. And I have all the addresses with me, so if anyone has any questions about their specific address, be happy to chat with you about that at lunch. So, thank you.
Other discussion under Article 2, Goddard Graves.
No, a quick question to follow up. I live on Sand Hill Road in South Woodbury. I watched the guys run the cable, and I thought, this is like the second coming. It's actually happening. And then I went out and spoke to them, thanking them for their work, and he said, you know, don't hold supper. There's going to be some, I don't understand the whole engineering thing. There is a switching station or something that has to be built. They said they haven't even poured the pad for that. Is there something that we all need to know about that?
So without objection, this will be John's second address, but without objection, you can answer the question.
So, Mr. Moderator, the answer is that waiting until winter is over to pour that pad and to put in that substation, and that's part of the area that's anticipated being ready by the end of this year.
Amen.
Any more discussion under Article 2? Okay. Hearing none, we will proceed to Article 3. Who shall be elected to fill the following positions as No, there's no question. It's for consideration. Yep. So, Article 3. Who shall be elected to fill the following positions as town officers? First office up for election is town clerk for a period of 3 years. Are there nominations? Yes, Andy Rosen nominates Robin Durkee. Second, okay. Seconds are not required, but appreciated, yep, okay. Is there another nomination? No, okay. Any other nominations for the office of town clerk? Okay. And the Without objection by unanimous consent, we will close nominations, and being the only nominee, Robin Durkee is elected town clerk for a term of 3 years. The next position up for election is town treasurer. And this election is for 1 year remaining on a 3-year term. Are there nominations? Brandy Smith. Brandy Smith nominates Lily Barrett. Yes. Lily, would you like to please stand and identify yourself? And as permitted by the assembly, you may introduce your candidacy.
Perfect. Hi.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'll use that one. This one looks a little tall. Hi, everyone. My name is Lily Barron. I'm a newer resident to Woodbury, although my partner who I live with grew up here. I'm very excited to become the town treasurer. I've been training under Brandy for the last month or so and getting to know the town and the systems, and I've really enjoyed everyone in the process so far, so I'm really excited for this next year and hopefully being elected town treasurer. Thank you.
Are there other nominations for town treasurer? Seeing none, without objection by unanimous consent, we'll close nominations. And being the only nominee, Lily Barron is elected town treasurer for term of 1 year. The next position up for election is select board member for a term of 3 years. Are there nominations? John Reed.
I nominate Diana Paduzzi.
John Reed nominates Diana Paduzzi. Diana, would you stand, and you may, at the permission of the assembly,
Hello, anybody who doesn't know me, raise your hand. Yeah, well, I've been in this position for 3 years now, and I'm willing to do another term if I make it.
Are there other nominations for select board member? Okay, seeing none, without objection by unanimous consent, we will close nominations. This position requires an election by paper ballot. Paul Cerruti. Paul? Okay, I heard Joe Beach second. The motion is to direct the town clerk to cast 1 ballot for the nominee, for Diana. All those in favor? Clerk casting the ballot, say aye. All those opposed? The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. The clerk will cast 1 ballot for Diana Paduzzi, who is elected select board member for a term of 3 years. The next position up for election is lister for a term of 3 years. Are there nominations? Yes, Bonnie Collins.
I would like to please nominate Sarah Hedrick.
Bonnie Collins nominates Sarah Hedrick. Sarah Hedrick, please, and without objection, introduce your candidacy. If you wish. Nope.
I'm on it.
Pardon me.
Hi, I'm Sarah Hedrick. I live on East Hill Road with my husband. This is my 3rd winter here, and not scared off. I I'm a GIS analyst. In my day job, I work with the Department of the Interior, and I'm interested in working with the town and with the other listers, and just seeing the ways I can get plugged into the town's needs. Anything else?
Are there other nominations for the position of lister? Hearing none, without objection by unanimous consent, we'll close nominations. This position also requires casting of a ballot. And is there, Paul Cerruti? Okay, Paul moves it to Bonnie Collins. I see Bonnie seconds that. So we have a motion that the clerk cast one ballot for Sarah Hedrick for the position of lister. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed, say no. Okay, the ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. The clerk will cast one ballot for Sarah Hedrick for the position of lister. She is elected. Okay, the next position up for election is auditor for a term of 3 years. Are there nominations? Retta Dunlap nominates John Reed.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Patrick Flood. John, would you like to stand and identify yourself and with permission introduce your candidacy?
John Reed, I've been auditor for one term, 3 years. I'm happy to be auditor for another term if elected. The only major surprise that's happened while auditor was finding out shortly after I became auditor that by statute the auditor also puts together the town report.
Thank you, John. Are there other nominations for auditor? Hearing none, without objection by unanimous consent, we close nominations. This position requires election by paper ballot. Paul Cerruti. A motion. Okay, is there a second? Okay, Jonah Meacham seconds. All those in favor of the clerk casting one ballot for John Reed for the position of auditor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. The clerk will cast one ballot for John Reed, who is elected auditor for a term of 3 years. Next position up for election is collector of delinquent taxes for a term of 1 year. Are there nominations? Robin Durkee.
I nominate Brandy Smith.
Robin Durkee nominates Brandy Smith. Skip. Seconded by John Reed. Skip Marcassani?
Yeah. I was just seconded.
Okay. Okay, we have dual seconds. Okay. Thank you both. Are there other nominations? Okay. Hearing none, without objection by unanimous consent, we'll close nominations. Being the only nominee, Brandy Smith is elected collector of delinquent taxes for 1 year. Next position up for election is Cemetery Commissioner for a term of 5 years. Are there nominations? Carolyn Stewart.
Yes, I nominate Patty Corbett.
I second.
Okay.
Fourth.
Okay. Carolyn Stewart nominates Patty Garbeck, seconded by Carolyn Ray. Is Patty here?
No.
Okay.
But she
Okay, she's not here. Okay. Are there
She had
other?
other things to do today.
Okay. Okay.
This morning.
Okay. Are there other nominations? Okay. Hearing none, without objection by unanimous consent, we close nominations. And Patty Garbeck, being the only nominee, is elected Cemetery Commissioner for a term of 5 years. The next position up for election is Library Trustee for a term of 3 years. And I'll just note that there are 3 offices for Library Trustee open and on our agenda here. All positions are for a term of 3 years. Are there nominations? Alicia Rennie. Alicia Rennie nominates Kimberly Winchell. Sarah Van Hook.
Stephen, do we do these all 3? We have 3 nominees. Do we do all of them, or do we do one at a time?
One at a time, yes, thank you. So the nominee for Kimberly Winchell is seconded by Carol Ray. Kim, would you please rise and introduce yourself and with permission of the assembly, introduce your candidacy.
Hi, I'm Kimberly Winchell. This is my first time running as a library trustee. I volunteer at some of the other libraries in the area, so I'm excited to get involved at my Woodbury library.
Are there other nominees for library trustee? Hearing none, without objection by unanimous consent, we'll close nominations. Kimberly Winchell, being the only nominee, is elected library trustee for a period of 3 years. Okay, we have another position for library trustee up for election. That too is for a period of 3 years. Are there nominations? Dee Dee Slade, Dee Dee Avery.
Yeah, I would like to nominate David Barber.
Okay, Dee Dee Avery nominates David Barber.
With his mother's approval?
Yes. David Barber is here. Would you please rise and, with permission, introduce your candidacy?
Hi, my name's David Barber. I moved to Woodbury about 3 years ago. I wasn't born in Vermont, but this is the first place I got to choose to live myself, being an Air Force brat. So I'm really happy to call Woodbury and Vermont home, and I really would love an opportunity to give back to the town some. So, yeah, this is my candidacy speech, I guess.
Are there other nominees? Hearing none, without objection, by unanimous consent, we'll close nominations. Being the only nominee, David Barber is elected library trustee for a term of 3 years. We have a third position open for library trustee for a term of 3 years. Are there nominations? Sarah Van Hoff.
I'd like to nominate Shepard Delaney. She isn't here today because she is ill, but she's an RN. She's an EMT that volunteers at the fire department. She's interested in becoming a trustee.
Sarah Van Hoff nominates Taven Delaney.
Yes.
Okay. Are there other nominations? Hearing none, without objection, by unanimous consent, we'll close nominations. Being the only nominee, Taven Delaney is elected library trustee for a term of 3 years. Yes, Skip, do you have a question or point?
sort of a thank you. In this project to upgrade the town's IT infrastructure, it took me into the library and got me involved in upgrading a mess that was in there in the community room, but also got to be a fly in the wall and see what goes on. So I'd like to say thank you to Myrna, thank you to Jake, thank you to Dee Dee, and thank you for the rest of the board for the fine work they do. It's, again, spend some time in there and see what goes on. They do a lot of work. Thank you very much.
That's thanks to our library director and library board of trustees, right? Yes. Okay. For those who may not know, thank you. Thank you. So our last position up for election is Hazen Union School District Director for a term of 3 years. Are there nominations? Chris Casey.
I'd like to nominate Laura Murphy.
Chris Casey nominates Laura Murphy. Laura Murphy is my wife. To avoid the appearance of conflict of interest, I'm going to step down to this election.
Don't worry about it.
I'm going to step down from this election and turn it over to Diana. Thank you for that.
So, oh, we're still on Article 3. Okay. So,
Mike.
Laura. Laura Murphy has been nominated. Are there any other nominations for Hazen Union board member? No other nominations, so non-state. Hearing none, without objection and by unanimous consent, we'll close nominations. And being the only nominee, Laura is elected.
Thank you, Diana. Thank you, Laura. We proceed to Article 4. Article 4 states, shall the town have its taxes paid to the town treasurer as tax receiver 60 days after tax bills are mailed. Estimated due date to be October 30th, 2025. Taxes would then become delinquent and be turned over to the collector of delinquent taxes for collection, with a penalty that increases by 0.5% per month of delinquency to a maximum of 6% for 1 full year or more of delinquency, and interest of 6% per year or 0.5% per month. What is your pleasure with respect to Article 4?
So moved.
Ellie Hayes moves Article 4. Is there a second? Second. Bonnie Collins seconds. Ellie, you made the motion. You have a privilege to speak first. Would you like to say anything? No? Okay. We'll open it up to other debate or discussion. Okay. Darren Usinowitz?
Yeah, just a quick question. Is the 0.5% just a standard number? Is that just what every town uses? Just never heard that before.
Okay. Someone, Diana Peduzzi will answer.
It's something that was voted on by the Assembly in some previous year.
It's always been,
Michael Gray? Oh.
when it was voted on, it's been this is what we voted on every year for quite a few years now.
So this was voted on, I can't remember exactly what year it was either, but it's been a standard part of the warning for many years, and the language hasn't changed at all. So.
Hearing none, without objection by unanimous consent, close discussion and move to the vote. And without objection, I will not restate, but the article is moved as previously read. So, all those in favor of Article 4, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. Article 4 is passed. We move to Article 5. Shall the voters appropriate $22,350 for the support of the Woodbury Community Library? What is your pleasure with respect to Article 5?
So moved.
Darren Usinowitz makes the motion. Chris Codius. Second. Chris Codius seconds. Darren, you made the motion. Would you like to speak first?
I really only just want to say that doesn't seem like enough.
Ellie Hayes, yes? Yep.
So if I understand this correctly, there's this 0.5% per month for delinquency.
Oh, pardon me, Ellie?
We're talking about.
We're on the next
Oh, sorry.
article. That passed. Thank you. Yes, yes. Your name, please.
My name's Sasha. I'm McGarvey.
Sasha McGarvey. Thank you.
I just want to say that I think that the Woodbury Library is severely underfunded, especially in regards to salary. It's not competitive with any of the local little libraries around here. And in regard to book collection development, and I just want to encourage us as a community to support our library more, so it can be open more, have more books, new collections for our children. It's about 80,000 under every other local little library in the area. Every other little library in the area is over $100,000 in budget.
Yes, Sarah Van Hoff.
I guess I just have a question about that. Because our library is open 12 hours a week, so are all those other little libraries open full-time? That make a big difference in the salary. And the other thing is, since I was very involved in this budget, is we do our best to keep the cost down for the community while still providing as much service as possible. So, you know, we asked for $22,350, not a round number like 25,000, because we're trying to make our library affordable for the town. We'd be glad to pay more for it.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, without objection, we'll close debate and proceed to the vote. Shall the voters appropriate $22,350 for the support of the Woodbury Community Library? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. No. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. Article 5 is passed.
The Woodbury Library has a fundraiser every year, and I would like one of the library trustees to take the opportunity to invite everyone.
This will be considered a point of information and allow a brief.
Yeah, I'm Sarah Van Hoff. I'll be stepping down as a trustee, but probably everybody here knows, or most people know, we have our annual pie breakfast coming up on March 22nd, and that is a major fundraiser. It actually can be up to 25% or more of our budget, depending on the success. So please, everybody, bake pies on and bring your pies here on Friday, attend the pie breakfast, and later in the year, we're going to have a Woodbury Town cookbook, which will also raise funds for the library.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Proceeding to Article 6. Shall the voters appropriate $10,000 for the support of the Woodbury cemeteries? What is your pleasure with respect to Article 6?
Hello.
Yes,
So moved.
Bill Condon
So
moves
moved.
Article 6. Is there a second? Paul Cerruti seconds. Bill Condon, you made your motion. Would you like to speak first?
If I can get up.
We need to keep the cemeteries in good shape. I know I'm going to be in the top part of the South Woodbury Cemetery pretty soon, so I just want to make sure that we have enough money to keep them upright and keep the fences up and grass mowed.
Yes. Susan Steiner, yes.
Yeah, I'm Susan Steiner, I'm the chair. I'm Susan Stitley. I'm the chair of the Cemetery Commission. We manage the 5 cemeteries in town. This year we had the West Woodbury Cemetery surveyed and the Green Burial section of the South Woodbury Cemetery surveyed. And that is in your book. You can see the lots, and I would encourage people to think about a green burial. It's all natural, no chemicals are involved. Whatever is put into the ground has to be biodegradable. So it's a really nice way to give yourself back to the earth. And so you can buy lots at the town clerk's office.
Other discussion? Yes, Carol Ray. Here comes the microphone. Thank you for your patience.
Hi, yeah, we got to get her a scooter. I have a question. How come it's less money this year than the previous year if more of us are aging out? I mean, let's think about that.
Without objection, Susan can answer.
We had some leftover funds this year. We didn't spend, we need to make a road down into the green burial section, and which we didn't do last year, so we still have those funds. So we felt that we would try to keep things more affordable this year.
Other discussion? Hearing none, without objection, we'll close debate and proceed to the vote. Article 6. Shall the voters appropriate $10,000 for the support of the Woodbury cemeteries? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. Article 6 is passed. Article 7. Shall the town appropriate $14,884 to the Woodbury Volunteer Fire Department to be added to the truck replacement fund paid July 1st, 2025. What is your pleasure with respect to Article 7? Bill Condon.
Pass it, by golly.
Is that, I take that as a motion. You move Article 1?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a second? Ellie Hayes, second. Bill Condon, you made the motion. You made the motion. Please, if you wish to speak.
They've helped me several times, and I am deeply indebted to them.
discussion under Article 7? Hearing none, without objection by unanimous consent, we'll close debate and proceed to the vote. Article 7. Shall the town appropriate $14,884 to the Woodbury Volunteer Fire Department to be added to the truck replacement fund paid July 1st, 2025? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. Article 7 is passed. Article 8. Shall the town appropriate $128,000, Shall the town appropriate $128,324.11 to fund the operations of the Woodbury Volunteer Fire Department? The Capital Replacement Fund, paid in full by January 1st, 2026, in the amount of $33,000, and the operating expenses of $95,324.11, paid in quarterly installments of $23,831.03, starting July 1st, 2025. What is your pleasure with respect to Article 8? Goddard Graves.
Happy to so move this article.
Goddard Graves moves Article 8. Is there a second? Sarah Van Hoff seconds. Goddard Graves, would you like to speak first?
We know about how they can help us out, just like Bill. Thanks, guys and girls. You do a great job.
Skip Marcassani.
I've done it before and I want to do it again. I want to thank the fire department for all the stuff they do. And I have a sort of funny story. Several weeks, months ago, we were doing some cooking. I was doing some cooking in the kitchen and generated too much smoke and the damn alarm system went off. And we got it shut off and, we did our thing. And eventually I get a phone call on my cell phone from the alarm company saying, "You didn't respond to our initial call." I said, "Well, what number did you use?" I said, and they gave me the number. I said, "That's disconnected. You should have had the new number." And they said, "We also called the fire department." And I went, "Oh, damn." So I said, "Can you cancel that call? We'll try." So we sit down and we're eating dinner. Who shows up in our driveway? With the fire truck. And I apologized, and I probably shouldn't have given this idea. They didn't even charge me for the call. So thank you very much.
Other discussion under Article 8. Patrick Flood.
So last year at town meeting, I learned, along with many of you, just how tough the fire department's job had become in terms of their responding to crimes and drug-related incidents in our town. And one of the things that came out of the discussion last year at town meeting was a small group of us got together to talk about what, if anything, townspeople could do to help address the problems of crime and drug misuse in town. And some of the folks who are in that group are in the room today, and they should feel free to add to my summary if they wish. But we did work with the fire department. There was maybe 6 or 8 of us that met regularly. We had a town forum, some of you were there. Some 40 people showed up and talked about the various issues they were encountering and what they thought could be done about it. So we met a number of times. We had a couple of educational sessions. Towards the end of the year, calendar year, I communicated with Paul about the nature of the problem, and he said it had actually been reduced recently, that it wasn't as severe as it had been previously. So our group kind of, I don't know how else to describe it, we kind of petered out, because if there's not a big problem, then people don't usually feel as excited about doing something about it. But we did look into things that turned out to be more challenging than I thought they would be, like a neighborhood watch. I'll just leave it at that. Paul can give you an update on what's going on, but I think there was certainly interest in town in doing what we could collectively to help the fire department deal with the issues that they were dealing with. And should the issue become more severe again, I think the town would come together again and try to see what we could do. But in the meantime, we're just sort of we're just on hold. But I gotta say, as long as I got the microphone, I learned a lot about what these folks are dealing with on our behalf. And I just can't thank them enough, really. What a difference they made and how much they give. It is a volunteer fire department. How much they give to make us safer. So thank you.
Recognize Paul Cerruti and Retta Dunlap here.
First off, thank you, everybody.
Yes.
I just wanted to provide an update on how things are going. Patrick correctly said that the substance abuse issues tend to ebb and flow. They go up and down. We're kind of on down, but it's not gone. We've had a number of overdoses in the last few months, one fatality from an overdose. We've also had someone abusing drugs while driving a vehicle that crossed the center line and caused a very serious car crash. So these things are still taking place in our community. So to those ends, one of the things you can always do is when you see the activity taking place, I know it's frustrating when the police don't come, but please call and report it. Just report it so that if they see activity increasing, that people see they will send patrols about. Call-wise, if you see our call volume was only 10 less than the previous year where we had a major disaster, where we had 30 calls in 24 or 30-hour period. So what that's saying is our call volume is trending up. Fire calls are staying about the same, although the number of building fires we respond to is going up. And I think that's all, I work in the insurance industry for fires, and it's getting colder this winter and it causes a lot more fires. Demographic-wise, a lot of folks are older, so the fast squad is starting to really pick up, and we're out almost daily. Call volumes 25 to 30 a month now. So that's kind of what's driving call volume. You'll see Calais is up a little bit this year over Woodbury, but last year we were about even. So that number kind of goes back and forth. So as always, membership tends to do the same thing. We're on kind of a downside where the membership's going down. So if anyone's inclined to volunteer, particularly people that want to become EMS providers, we provide all the training. It's a difficult row to hoe. Moving into the EMS field has been very well received and I think desperately needed in town. But it's a big challenge to keep. We have licensing, we have, everybody's got to be credentialed, and it's difficult to keep on top of this. So that's kind of what we're facing. Retta's our new president, and again, with the group Patrick was working with, there was some outreach from folks saying, well, how can we help the fire department? Maybe necessarily we don't want to fight fires. We're working toward having a position in the department where you could be on the department to do other tasks, like administrative tasks, coming to clean equipment. One of the problems we run into is just in January, we got up and were paged out to Plainfield for a basement fire at 8 o'clock in the morning at 11 below zero. We dealt with that until maybe 11 o'clock, got back. The people that were wet and tired had to clean all the equipment, put it back on the trucks as we had to be ready to go. I got home 30 minutes later, we were paged out to a building fire in Wolcott. So we went sticky and we learned don't bring wet SCBA masks when it's below zero, but that's aside. So places we could use help is if you're administrative, right, you won't argue with that. We have a lot of contracts. We're dealing with our building. We're dealing with USDA things. So people that have interest in that, reach out to us. If you think you might like to shovel the sidewalk, or you think that, hey, give me a call on one of those Sundays or Monday nights where are overloaded and you need someone to wash a truck or to wash SCBA, things like that. Those are the things that we would be interested in. So we're just throwing that out. And anyone say?
Tuesday night's our annual meeting, and we are voting to change our bylaws to add another membership class. It is a non-voting member for you all to, if you want to volunteer, you volunteer under that. So you become a non-voting member of the fire department. Part of the reason for that is there's some liability perhaps involved in what you do, and you need to be under some umbrella. But that, you know, and I know a lot of people have asked me over the years, what can you do? The other thing Paul didn't mention is every first Tuesday of the month is truck check.
Second Tuesday.
Oh, was it the second?
Second.
Oh, wait, the meeting's the first. So, you know, you could volunteer to come in and be trained to check the trucks, look for broken stuff and everything. And as far as food, we're still working that out. I know a lot of people wanted to do food. As I'm learning, sometimes I have an hour to do something because Paul says, okay, you got an hour, you know, High House of Pizza. So
We're health fans.
they like meat lovers, by the way. But they getting food to them in a timely fashion is going to be difficult. We're going to have to work out some processes, but you would join under this non-voting member to do that. And the requirement for a firefighter, EMS, or an active members, you have to attend every Tuesday night and events and fires and, you know. This member would only be required to do what's necessary for the job they're volunteering for, so you wouldn't have to be there every month or every week. So that's, unless you have questions about the
Glad to
budget.
answer any questions if you have any.
Question. Does your new fire department have a kitchen in it?
Yep.
Almost.
I just want to say, without objection, we'll let Paul and...
Yeah, so it will have, there's we had a dishwasher donated, but we have ADA counter height, so I gotta get a shorter one. And the refrigerator hasn't been right. The building's not all done. I'll get to that. I'll speak when the building gets there. But yes, we will have. But it's not quite there yet.
Okay.
Any more discussion under Article 8? Hearing none, without objection, by unanimous consent, we'll close debate and move on to the vote. Article 8, shall the town appropriate $128,324.11 to fund the operations of Woodbury Volunteer Fire Department? Capital Replacement Fund paid in full by January 1st, 2026, in the amount of $33,000, and the operating expenses of $95,324.11, paid in quarterly installments of $23,831.03, starting July 1st, 2025. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. Article 8 is passed. We move to Article 9. What is your pleasure with respect to Article 9? John Reed. So moved. John Reed moves Article 9. Is there a second? Bill Condon.
Second.
Bill Condon seconds. Article 9 states, shall the town appropriate $100,059.24 to the Woodbury Volunteer Fire Department to fund the loan payment for the Fire and Emergency Operations Center paid November 1st, 2025. Bill Condon, John Reed made the motion. Would you like to speak first on it? Sure. Okay.
Mr. Moderator,
I assume that Paul's going to speak about the new fire station, but I'd simply like to say that I know it's been several years of intense work. Paul's not only been the fire chief, but the project manager, the fundraiser, the ambassador to the town to get approval for the fire station, and I think the end result just looks awesome. Thank you.
Any more discussion under Article 9? Goddard Briggs.
Quick question.
Few things can induce a deep and restful sleep more than interest rates and public finance. And I trust you all, but I'm curious about the origin of this figure. Given the craziness of interest rates and what we may anticipate as further craziness given the winds that are blowing in public life now, will we possibly be having to play catch-up next year, given this particular dollar figure?
Paul?
Sure. So regarding the financing of the building, we have a loan with the Union Bank. I guess it's called a tax-free municipal bond from the bank, because we can't borrow money from the bond bank. We're not a municipality. That's at fixed rate for the first 10 years of 5.5% right now. And then it's way commercial lending works is at arms in 10 years, and whatever the rate is in 10 years will be the rate. It's been our intent, and we discussed it last year, and we have discussed it with the select board, to ultimately have this money go to a municipal bond, where what it would require the select board to hold the bond, we would have to hold a Australian ballot vote for the town. I think that's ultimately the way to go. We just haven't pursued it yet because the dust hasn't quite settled over there. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
So and to just continue on, the building's not quite finished. We're sort of what I call a soft move-in right now. We're in it, but it's not done. There's a lot of punch list items. They do things to you like ship cabinets that don't have doors, or doors without glass, or who broke that, who ran into the pile of ceiling tiles. So that's that's the thing. It's the daily, or spending time with change orders, because you had to have an eye wash station that was on the plan, and they're trying to give you a change order. So that's the stuff that's kind of going on. Outside there, they got to clean up the yard. We got to do site grading. We don't have a dishwasher or refrigerator, although I got a microwave yesterday. So it's little fits and starts are coming in. We played it's been quite an adventure to get our washing machine hooked up. It's been 7 months of changing the floor drain and the thing and the what's it. And now I got to build something. So anyway, that's kind of what's going on with the building. We're in it, and we're incredibly grateful for the new building. It is so functional. Truck check takes less time. We can walk around. We respond to a lot of medical calls out of there, and fire calls are just people can get around vehicles and out the door. So it's been awesome. My mouth was hanging open the first shovel full of dirt when I didn't think it was ever going to happen. So we're incredibly thankful. As far as getting the funding, I think we need to do something with that. It's just I kind of want to let it settle, and then we'll approach the board and we'll have this conversation. I think the best way is to go to that municipal bond, because it will fix the interest rate for the term of the loan, which I think is the way to go. Go ahead.
Michael Gray.
I'm just wondering
The status of the addition to the firehouse.
Sure. I'm going to cover next. Yep.
Okay.
So over a year and a half ago, I applied for a congressional earmark through Senator Sanders, and I knew we were on the radar to receive it. It made it through his purview, and it made it through the Senate's purview, and then it was in the bill last year, and we were just waiting for it to pass and the president to sign it. But unfortunately in 23 we had a devastating flood, and we ended up having to pull the trigger on the financing in October, which turned out to be a false start because V-Trans needed to deal with the culvert over there. So we had to stop, and it was a long negotiating process with V-Trans to how much it's going to cost them to use our site, because the delay in construction was almost $90,000, 60, somewhere in that neighborhood. Was a lot. And the requirement that once they destroyed our septic system, that and the drainage requirements that came into play were another $44,000. So we had quite a contentious round with right away, who, you know, one of those quiet meetings where they yeah, it's no problem, no problem. When I got up over 160,000, they went, you need to talk to someone else. So we carefully crafted an agreement which had no numbers in it, and they agreed and they pulled the trigger. And then, of course, as the state of Vermont always does, they tried to back out of the deal in March when they, you know, I gave them the bill. It was whatever, ended up being 126 some thousand dollars that we were going to be on the hook for, and they literally shot me a here's 80,000. So my response was, do you want my lawyer to just file the breach contract with you now, or do you want to go back to the table? Which they really stepped back, and we got the money the next day. So it's been that kind of contentiousness. It was a lot. So we had that, and then lo and behold, last March, I get a call from the senator's office. Hey, you got the money? I'm like, yes. We don't have to borrow any money. No, because what's the term? Supplanting. If you have funding regarding the source, we couldn't just give the money back to the bank and take their money because it's called supplanting funds. So that couldn't happen. That's thing one. Thing two is we needed a level 1 environmental study. So the long story short, after a conversation with the senator's office, and the head of the USDA for our region, they said that your best approach, because if you remember, our plan has always been to continue to use the old fire station for needed storage space. Unfortunately, that building has been heavily damaged and it flooded again this year, so that's not an option. So I proposed to the group that, hey, how about we try to create some more square footage over in our spot, and everyone agreed to that. So to that end, we're moving toward a 2,000 square foot addition to the south side of that building, and that's what we're planning to use those funds for. Red has been helping. It's been a lot of work, but we've been through a level 1 environmental study, a level 2 environmental study. We've had fuel studies that the state paid for, and now you're going to see them drilling over there for geotechnical. So one of the downsides of federal funding is lots of federal stuff comes in. Right. So you're going to see stuff. Our goal is to not cost the voters any money. I think with the money we have on hand, and I just don't have all the numbers because I don't know how we're going to quite land over there. Anyone who's built a project knows at the end there's change orders and reconciling who did what and where. So that's where we are with that. Maybe we'll get out to bid by late spring. If you've ever worked with USDA, you send them the 29 things that they asked for, and then they send you an email with the 5 things they didn't ask for, and a whole page of stuff that your environmental consultant goes, I never heard of that before. So that's what we're in right now, is trying, it feels like an inch at a time with a mile to go, but we'll get there. The next phase will be to go out to bid on this project. We've got to meet all the federal bidding requirements and Davis-Bacon and all that stuff. So that's where we're at. So maybe you'll see some activity on that this year, maybe not. It's really not in our hands.
I have a question.
Sure.
Yes, Diana.
How secure do you feel about getting that federal money? That
Yes.
it might not be just all of a sudden clawed back?
Sure. So I had that conversation in January with the head of the USDA for our region. What's her name? Right? Sorry, I forget her name. Right now, there's a law that the Congress passed and the President signed that says the Woodbury Volunteer Fire Department gets this money. So I don't believe there's a way to pull it back. She doesn't believe there's a way to pull it back. We ain't driving, is all I can tell you. So it could happen. We're in a position where we've invested quite a bit of money to get to the point where we can try to spend the money. That's just the way it is. It's all equaling our match, so that's where we're at. As far as I know, it's still there, but right? It's not our intention to come back to this body for more money. That's not our plan. But the good side of doing this is we'll be in one building, and I think that's where we ultimately wanted to be. The lot is not as big as we would have liked, but someone a long time said, "Don't let the perfect become the enemy of the good," and I tried to live by that. You're going to go for the whole loaf. We took half, and we got it. So it's going to be functional. A little bit of a parking issue, but it is what it is. It's very functional. And hopefully we will be having an open house. I just didn't think everybody wanted to go over there and freezing cold and slobbing in the snow and looking at dishwasher space and the floor's not treated or painted yet. And so look for that in the spring when we have a nice day, and we'll invite everybody to come on in and have a cup of coffee and do something over there. It'll be great.
Carol Red, yes.
have a question for clarity. I wanted to know, is FEMA going to buy your existing building? Is that, and that'd be cleared green space, or?
So I can fill that in. John can help me if you need any question answered on that. So we've applied for buyout, which is the exact same process that they went through with the old store, where what happens is that we've met with the select board. The select board is the applicant for our buyout request. That was put in way back in 23. You'll notice the theme, government's really slow. And I keep getting letters saying, yeah, you're top priority. So the answer is maybe. The funding, as far as I know, is there. Am I misspeaking, John? Is that correct? It's kind of in somewhere. It's just, it needs to be dispersed, and then we would start the process of figuring out the value of the building the day before the flood. There's a water system that's got to be moved, the oil tank's got to be pulled out, it's got to be turned into green space, and ultimately the select board would end up owning the space. But again, we have to kind of wait for the state, and I think it's at the state level now, it has to do something. Go ahead, John. Oh, sorry.
John Gordon, Emergency Management Director, is that right? For the town?
Yeah.
Yeah, John Gordon, Emergency Management Director. I put in the application that Paul completed for the buyout through the Hazard Mitigation Program. And that's what we know. With applications in, they've told us the application's complete. They've told us that there's money. They've told us that there's not money. They've told us that there's money.
In January, we had money.
So we know the application's in. We know the application's complete. And I'm hesitant to say anything else until they actually go and say, here's the answer on that. But yes, if it is approved, then we would go through the process of having it assessed, sort of backdated assessed, so to speak. And then if we went down that road, then the town would take the money that was used for that project, that would be through the grant, and the town would purchase the property from the fire department and then turn it into green space. That's sort of the process with that. But until they actually go and say, yes, this is approved, we really can't move on that project.
That answered okay. We're not in the, I jokingly told someone the other day, so when is that going to happen? I said, they told me January 15th. Just like when we didn't have a kitchen in January, I said the kitchen was coming in December. And everybody laughed because when it gets here. I had to learn a lot of patience.
Any more? Yes, Susan Martin.
Thank you for recognizing me. I just have a comment, I guess, on Article 7 and Article 8. Both articles are requesting funds July 1st, 2025. However, our property taxes are not due until October 30th. I'm wondering how the town's going to handle that and if they'll be able to pay those amounts on July 1st.
Excuse me, Susan, I just want to ask, is your question relating to Article 9? I know we've passed over 7 and 8. Not passed over, we've completed Articles 7 and 8. Does the question relate in some way to Article 9?
No, it's Article 7 and 8.
Those articles are completed.
I think we're all friendly here.
But I'll be coming back and answer your question.
Okay.
Okay, without objection, Paul says he has an answer to this question.
Would anybody else like to know the answer besides me?
What did you say? Does anyone object to Paul giving the answer? That's easy.
So I can't speak for the select board, but have been on the select board in this position. Those are paid, we need our operating expenses to start July 1st because we have bills due, so that covers that one. We have the truck payment from the truck fund is due in, I think, August or early September. So we're trying any future loans, like you noticed the one for the building we put in November, and the capital fund is now payable in January. One of the reasons we ended up with the truck loan due early was we got a demo truck where we saved about $200,000 to buy it. So we just pulled the trigger and bought it. When I was on the board, there were usually enough funds to cover this, or we would borrow money in that short term. And I don't know if that's kind of where you guys are still at. That's just, there's always the article letting you borrow a few funds. We would just borrow the money for the short, or I think you can take it out of some of your other funds, borrow it and put it back to what was normally done.
Thank you.
Yeah, anything we do moving forward with regard to loans, we're always trying to get past that November date. It's just, we're still stuck with a couple of old things, but it made good financial sense to do it that way.
Yes, Skip Marcassani.
Clarification, I guess I direct this to Lily or Brandy. The taxes that we paid this October are for the upcoming fiscal year, correct? That begins July 1st, 2025?
It's a fiscal year that you're paying taxes for, July 1 to June 30. It is tight.
July is when our money is not at its reach point, and it's tight, but we have been able to swing it without having to go for a loan. We borrow against the other funds until taxes start rolling in, and making sure delinquencies are collected as much as possible. I will be holding a delinquent tax sale coming up next month, but yeah, it is tight during that time for us.
Any other discussion under Article 9? Carol wishes to speak again. Is there anyone who has not yet spoke that would like to? Anyone else for a first comment? Yep. Okay, Carol, yes.
I would just like to ask of you, what is the future plan of the annex building, or have you decided as a town, or how does that work?
Sure, so that's also unknown at the moment, because if we were not to get the USDA money and we were not going to get the other building functional, we may end up moving some stuff back in there to get us out of the floodplain. So right now, because we can't get answers to questions 1 and 2, I can't answer question 3 with others. I hate to be I don't know yet, but until other people do what they're supposed to do, I can't make a decision. We're not trying to be vague, it's just that's the reality we're in.
Can I just clarify, is that annex building in a flood zone?
No. Weirdness of Woodbury here, because of our elevation, we did an elevation study. I paid for an elevation study through FEMA when they were running me over the coals to give me no money for a year. We paid for an elevation study. None of that is in the floodplain because there are no floodplain maps for this elevation. However, as you're standing in the 4 feet of water, right? So the surveyor really laughed. I just thought it'd be funny because it's like, nothing here floods according to the flood maps, but flood maps are to address, I think, big floodplain areas. But here we get flash flooding, which is really devastating. If you watch what happened, it's terrifying. Never thought I'd be scared of a flood in 23. It was terrifying.
Any more discussion under Article 9?
Can I make a comment?
Oh, yeah. Diana, yes?
I just wanted to mention that the plan is for the annex building to come back to the town's ownership, and in our budget we have $5,000 to pay for the heat because the food shelf is in there and there's only one heating system. So eventually, if everything works well, we'll be looking for ideas of what to do with that building. Anybody needs really expensive storage for their fancy motorcycle or their boat or something like that maybe.
Yeah, and that's been I'm sorry if I didn't say, the conversation has been, in the interim select board, we're paying the heat and electric in there right now because it's been in our budget for a very long time. Ultimately, because of where the food shelf is, our goal would be to donate that to the town. But we'll see if we get there.
I heard that word.
I believe we own it, but we're doing a title search to find out who owns both buildings. It's been a little adventure to figure that out, but that's coming.
Laura Murphy.
I understand that the building's not in a flood zone official, but in light of the fact that the area did flood, what are the, did you have experts, I'm sure you did, look and see if the current, the new, talking about the new building.
Yep.
Yeah. even though it's not an official flood zone, we know that it does flood in that area. What are the prospects of, I know you're not, you're not God, but
Yeah.
you're close, so you're as close as we can.
Yeah, we're right on the edge of the flood there. So in the 2 severe floods we've had, that property hasn't flooded. It's come up to the edge of it. And I think the way the drainage system works, it's going to back up through our storm drains and come kind of running around the edge of the acre. Shouldn't go in the building. The building's a little bit lower than I wanted it to be, but we have a lot of competing interests in the permitting world. Like one of the interests was every state agency wanted us to retain 100% of our water on the property. Last time I checked, that's called a lake, right? So someone said, why'd you build the building the elevation? Because the V-Trans made us do that. So what you're going to see is those low drains will probably back up and you'll see water come around the guardrail, but it shouldn't go in the building. Can I guarantee that? Probably not, but we're on the edge of the bad spot.
Okay. More discussion under Article 9? Okay. Hearing none, without objection, we'll close debate and move to the vote. Is everyone clear about the consequences of the vote on Article 9? Okay. Article 9, shall the town appropriate $100,059.24 to the Woodbury Volunteer Fire Department to fund the loan payment for the Fire and Emergency Operations Center paid November 1st, 2025? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. Article 9 is passed. Skip Marcassani. Good point?
Waiting for the rubber.
Okay.
I'd like to move that we consolidate Articles 10, consolidate the voting from Articles 10 through Articles 30. Okay, that's appropriation for funds for all the organizations in the community that have asked for funds.
Second. Okay. Skip, I just want to clarify. So, Robert's rules recognizes this as a motion of a series of articles. It's what you'd like to do, a series. So, I'll just explain this. So, to make a motion for Articles 10 through 30, moved together as a series, to be considered together and voted on together, with one exception. If any one voter wishes to discuss any single article or multiple articles separately from this group, this series, speak up, set them aside, and deal with those separately. Okay, so is that
My motion is whatever Steven said.
Okay. Skip moves a series of articles, Articles 10 through 30. And is there a second? Jonah Meacham seconds. All right. So we have a motion combining Articles 10 through 30 and considering them together. So I will need to state here now. Regarding Article 30, I'll state that. Shall the voters appropriate $1,000 to Washington County Mental Health Services? I am an employee of Washington County Mental Health Services. However, given the scope of the agency and the budget, which I believe in 2018 was $53 million operating budget, I believe that does not pose a conflict of interest for me here, this $1,000 appropriation. However, if anyone objects, I would step aside and turn it over. Okay. So, Susan?
If there's any article here that we want separate, how are we going to facilitate that?
Okay, hold on 1 second. I'll come back to you one moment on that. Well, actually, that's the question on point of order. You may, yes.
In point of order,
Point of order here.
I just want to know, there is an article here I would like to discuss separately, but I don't know how you do that.
Okay. You may just simply demand it. Okay. So,
I know how she does it.
I just want to make sure that we're underway with this motion. And I'm going to come right back on that. So we have Articles 10 through 30, moved by Skip. We just want to find our place here. Seconded by Jonah. We're now under consideration in a series. First, I'm going to just come to Skip to see if he has like to make any comments under discussion here. In the back.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the person's name. Susan? Susie Gray. I think we can discuss the article in its general discussion. We don't have to take it independently.
Okay, Susie has that right, though. I just want to make this clear. So you want this considered separately outside of the...
Well, I'd like to make an amendment to the article.
Like to make an amendment. I believe that we can do that within this group, in this series. Yeah. However, if you'd like it voted on separately and discussed separately, you can do that. Okay?
Efficiency is important.
Efficiency, okay. Susie, would you like to make an amendment now on one of the articles?
Yes, I'd like to move, Article 10, I have a lot of familiarity with food shelves. Not necessarily just ours, but I think that's a terribly low amount. I would like to bump the amount up to $2,500 at least, because the price of food, sometimes now the food shelves are having to buy food from wholesalers because there's not enough stuff, you know.
Okay, so we have a motion by Susie Gray to amend Article 10. The amendment would state, shall the voters appropriate $2,500 to the Woodbury Callis Food Shelf?
Yes.
Okay, is there a second on that proposed amendment? Skip Marcassani seconds that. So now we're considering that proposed amendment. Is there discussion on the proposed amendment to Article 10? Carol Ray. Yep.
Humbled by this amendment, thank you. But I just want to say, you and Callis, Woodbury and Callis have been very fair and generous. I do have a formula. I got a huge grant last year of like $18,000 out of the blue. Very well funded at the moment, and I appreciate you requesting or asking for more money. I think things are really tight, and I think if someone else needed the money, somebody else in the audience should maybe stand up and say, hey, give it to me. Thank you, I appreciate it. It's all volunteers, and some of the people in this room are volunteers. Thank you. We don't need it. How's that?
Is there other discussion on the proposed amendment? Okay. Hearing none, we'll close discussion. And proceed to a vote. Remember now, we're just voting on the proposed amendment to Article 10, which would change that to, shall the voters appropriate $2,500 to the Woodbury Callis Food Shelf? Is everyone clear about the consequences of the vote on this proposed amendment? Okay. All those in favor of adopting that amendment say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no.
No.
No. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. Article 10 is amended. Okay. Now, we're still under discussion now of this series of articles, 10 through 30. Is there other discussion about anything within that? Okay? Okay. Skip, if I could just for a moment, if I could ask you just for a moment, if there's no other discussion, we could move right to the vote. Is there anyone who wishes to discuss that further? Okay, I don't see that. Skip,
Go ahead.
would you withdraw that? Withdraw that motion so we can move right to the vote. Okay, so I'll explain it again. We've got a series of articles that we've just discussed. Those articles are 10 through 30, within which we've amended Article 10. So, all those in favor of Articles 10 through 30, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. Articles 10 through 30, Articles 10 being amended are passed. Okay. All right. Folks, at this point, we're coming up toward noon time, which is traditionally around the time that we have lunch. We have two more articles that deal with the budget. And we could deal with those right now and then take lunch. So I see some people affirming that course of action. So, okay, unless there's strong objection, we'll do that. And then we'll break for lunch, just to give you an idea of what may be upcoming. I see that we have a guest who's joined us. That's our state representative, David Iacovoni. I assume you're here for lunch and some discussion. And we will deal with that after these two articles. So, here we go. On to Article 31. Shall the voters authorize general fund expenditures of $570,426 for operating expenses for the period from July 1st, 2025 to June 30th, 2026. What is your pleasure with respect to Article 31? Brandy Smith.
That number needs to change since we approved the increase.
Okay, so you'd like to examine
the amount.
First we need to get it going
Okay.
Okay, come back to that. Did everyone hear that? Just want to make sure. Brandy, could you just state that again before we move ahead? Just so everyone, we're all moving ahead together.
Since it increased for the food shelf, we need to change that number, increasing the amount.
Okay. Okay, thank you. All right, come on. But to increase that amount would require amendments. We're going to come back to that because we don't have this article moving yet. So, is there a motion?
So moved.
Okay, Darren Usinowitz moves it. Paul Cerruti seconds. So, first of all, we'll come to. First of all, just restate it so we all know where we are. Myself included. Article 31, shall the voters authorize general fund expenditures of $570,426 for operating expenses for the period from July 1st, 2025 to June 30th, 2026. Darren, you made the motion. Would you like to...
Yeah, I believe now is the appropriate time to amend that motion to increase it by, what was it, $874, I believe, right? To a total of, who's got that math? 571,300.
Okay. Okay, so we have a, I'm sorry? I think that's not allowed under Robert's rules. We need to go through the steps. So we'll try to move through it in good order here. So Darren makes a proposed amendment in response to Brandy's comment, and that is to increase the amount to what, please?
It was 571,000 even?
300. 571,300.
571,300.
Okay, so Darren makes a motion that we amend Article 31 to change the dollar amount to $571,300. It's seconded by Paul. So now we have that amendment, consideration of that amendment underway. We're not voting on the article. So would you like to make any comments on this proposed amendment?
I mean, I think it's pretty clear that the amendment is just to address the increase in funding, despite Carol's objections to, to the food shelf.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments on the proposed amendment, changing the dollar figure? Okay, hearing none, without objection, we'll close debate on that and move to a vote on the amendment of the article, not on the article itself. So, the amended article would state, for Article 31, shall the voters authorize general fund expenditure of $571,300 for operating expenses for the period from July 1st, 2025 to June 30th, 2026. Is everyone clear about the consequences of the vote? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. Article 31 is amended as just stated. So now we proceed with discussion of Article 31 on its merits. Is there any discussion? No? Okay. Hearing none, without objection by unanimous consent, we'll end debate and proceed to the vote, which I'll state one more time to be clear. Article 31, shall the voters authorize general fund expenditures of $571,300 for operating expenses for the period from July 1st, 2025 to June 30th, 2026? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. Article 31 is passed. Okay. Brings us to Article 32. Shall the voters authorize highway fund expenditures of $775,882 for the period from July 1st, 2025 to June 30th, 2026. What is your pleasure with respect to Article 32? Paul Cerruti moves. Is there a second? Chris Codius seconds. Okay? As I just stated that article, it's moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Paul, you moved it. Would you like? Yes.
Just wanted to thank the select board. Good job. I've sat in your chair. We all have tough jobs. All I want to say to everybody is all these jobs are difficult. It's not easy to come to these numbers or the things that have to go on in all of the jobs. For all the jobs we do here, everybody who volunteers, it's tough and sometimes we don't all agree. So I just wanted to say thank you because I don't think we say thank you enough to the folks that do hard jobs.
Here, here.
Norm Edkins.
Yeah, hi. I just wanted to mention, I was emergency management director following the flooding in 23. And as everybody already knows, dealing with FEMA is a real treat. But the worst part of that is having to keep track of all expenditures to get reimbursement. And in really amazing fashion, Skip Lindsay stepped up to do that hard work. And I think he really deserves a round of applause for the work he did.
While we're on the subject of the highway budget, I would just like to, there's only one member of the highway crew here today, but I would like to have him pass along to the rest of the crew that They've been doing a great job this year.
Any more discussion? Okay, hearing none. Without objection, we'll close debate and move to the vote. Article 32. Shall the voters authorize highway fund expenditures of $775,882 for the period from July 1st, 2025 to June 30th, 2026? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. Article 32 is passed. Okay, so moving ahead. If you wish, we can recess now and have lunch. After that, we'll have lunch for about a half hour, and then come back, and we will be at Article 33, and that is to transact other non-binding business that may legally come before the meeting. And as I stated before, I noticed we have our state representative, David Iacoboni, here, and at the permission of the Assembly, we could invite Representative Iacoboni to speak under Article 33. We'll get to that, but I just wanted to give you an idea of what may lie ahead. But right now, unless there's an objection, we'll recess for 30 minutes and have lunch, and then come back and proceed with the meeting. Any comments about this lunch? Who prepared it? For what purpose other than our hunger?
It's a fundraiser for the Friends of WES, very elementary school, and the community prepared it, so thank you.
Oh. Carol Ray has a comment or question?
I just wanted to know if our representative is on a time crunch, and should we ask him to do his little procedure? Are you staying for lunch, Dave?
I hadn't planned on it.
Okay, he might be under a time crunch.
Okay, okay. So Representative Iacoboni, do you wish to speak now?
I'd be glad to. I promise to be brief.
Okay. Without objection, take a 5 to 10 minute presentation followed by a few minutes of questions and answers.
Thank you for welcoming me. I learned a long time ago not to stand between people and their lunch. So I'll be brief, but hopefully not too brief. It's an honor and a privilege to do my best to represent this community. Right now in the legislature, there's a number of different issues, but there's, in my mind, two overriding issues. One is our property taxes and education. I call that all one issue. And the other issue is health care, which drives in a large way what we pay for our school property taxes. Let me first talk briefly about health care. Our premiums that we pay are some of the very highest in the nation. Our health care provider system, and I use this word intentionally, is imploding. Our primary care practices, some of them are starting to close. Our hospitals are struggling. Several has been identified that if something doesn't change within the next 3 years or so, they'll close. Half of our nursing homes received extraordinary financial relief last year to keep them open. They're part of the critical safety net. So across the spectrum, there's many, many challenges. We do have an opportunity, somewhat small, somewhat at risk, to use some one-time funds that have accumulated from unanticipated surpluses to strengthen our primary care network until some federal assistance, which we've received, comes in 2027. As many of you know, things are in quite a state of flux on the federal level. So the worry is whether that federal grant would be honored in 2 years. We just don't know that. The more one-time funds we use to prop up healthcare is the less one-time funds available to buy down the property taxes this year, which statewide are estimated to go up at 5.9%. That number will likely change, but that's what we're told right now. So the way I'm looking at this right now is to do whatever I can for healthcare and leave as much as we can to buy down those property taxes until we come up with a longer solution. Now I'll briefly move to school property taxes and education. From where I stand, I believe you and the people from Elmore and Worcester and Morrisville and the small portion of Stowe that I represent, you ultimately should decide whether you want to keep your community school or not. I do not believe it should be left up to a board of 5 people representing 50 towns. As well-intentioned as they may be, they don't live here. So I will do my best to stand firm on that. Right now, there's so many unknowns. A community doesn't know if they close, what will the cost per pupil be at the next school that they have to be bused to? Is it higher? Is it less? Is it the same? So there's too many unknowns, and we have to wait for all those to sugar out before we know what to do. But I plan to stand firm by letting local people decide what they do and to pay the consequences up or down on what the taxes are. I'll stop there, and if there are any questions, I'm glad to take a few because I know the clock is ticking.
Questions or comments for Representative Iacovone? Yes, Goddard Graves.
A three-word comment.
Oh, Goddard, could you hold just we have the microphone coming right behind you. Thank you, Goddard.
3-word comment. Soak the rich.
I voted to do that.
Good.
Yes, Jonah Beecham. Here comes the microphone.
Do you have any indication from Governor Scott about when there will be more details around his education plan? I mean, it's coming in sort of drips and drabs, and it's not, it's, as you say, there's too many unknowns to even make decisions right now.
He just released a 176-page bill this week before we're off. And there's something called crossover, which is a deadline. I think that's March 14th. So in any event, we just got the full report, and now we're taking testimony on that.
So does that mean it makes the crossover? No.
Unless the rules are suspended to give it more time, which could happen, just because it's so extraordinarily important and the magnitude is so large.
Yes, the neighbor Elisa. Elisa, your last name, please?
Clark.
Elisa Clark.
Hello, everyone. My name's Elisa Clark. I have a question on a different topic on the Global Warming Solutions Act. I know that Vermont, about 10 years ago, passed the Global Warming Solutions Act and set targeted emissions goals for greenhouse gas emissions. And the state has a climate action plan that is in place and also scheduled to be updated in the summer. But I hear that Governor Scott is trying to push through legislation to weaken those goals and eviscerate any public means to hold the state government accountable for meeting them. And I'm wondering if you think those rollbacks in the climate goals will pass and whether or not you support the rollbacks.
I do not support the rollback. I do not believe it will be successful. I respect that some reasonable people disagree, and that's fine. It's very early in the process, and we can't, in my opinion, walk away from our children's future and just say there's nothing we can do or it's too much. Having said that, I'm mindful we can only afford what we can afford. But there are many, many things we can do to help address the climate change, and I believe we should leave the Global Warming Solutions Act intact. Now, I do know our fellow representative, Sadia Lamont, is probably on her way. Okay. Over there?
Without objection, we'll invite Representative Lamont to give a 5 or 10 minute update. And then again, we can have a brief exchange of questions and comments.
Good afternoon. Thank you. Yes. Good afternoon. For those who don't know me, I'll take my mask off so you can see me. Sorry. Rep. Sadia Lamont, sitting with Dave. Thank you all. I'm in general and housing. I do have some town meeting reports that I'll leave for folks, and they're also available online. In housing, we've been working on a housing omnibus bill. The administration had put out their path forward for housing, which was another big packet of information. And we spent the past several weeks taking parts of that, looking at what works, what doesn't work, what's already being done, what are we going to move forward. And yesterday we left committee feeling pretty good about where we are with our housing omnibus bill that we are going to try to get past crossover next week. And yeah, it's been a good session so far. There's not a lot of bills have come to the floor yet because there were so many put in. And so next week we're planning to be pretty intense with the bills coming forth. Lots of information absorbing, but I really just want to answer any questions. I don't have much to say, but I'll answer anything you have if you have.
Any questions or comments for Representative Lamont?
Dave took care of it.
Oh, wait. Follow him every time.
After this housing bill that you're currently looking at, what do you see as the next big thing that's going to be tackled for you?
Well, we're looking at labor laws. So we do, in general in housing, we do housing, labor, equity, all of those things. So what we also did yesterday was we went through all of the bills that have come in our committee and that are on our wall. And well, we didn't make it through the whole list, but there was only 5. We missed the last 5, but we're going to spend the next week while we're off going through that and prioritizing what do we think we can consolidate in regards to labor and unions and employee rights and things like that, as well as the Human Rights Commission. There's a couple of bills that are there that could probably be combined. And so we're just trying to be really strategic in our committee on how can we be most effective. We're not going to get through all the bills. However, let's look at what is there, what is within our means, how much testimony will we need to take to actually get through it, because we don't want to do things without due process. And so that we're trying to be really strategic about how we're going forward. And so I think when we come back, we may look at some labor stuff and possibly Human Rights Commission. Then there's all the things that are happening in the other committees as well. So that are all playing a part of everything. And so when we've been having joint hearings with Commerce and Economic Development Committee down the hall. I'm doing this because they're down the hall from where we are. And they are doing the TIFs and the Spark part of the housing plan, which is the taxes, the property taxes and all of those things. And so we've been participating in those conversations, even though they are not particularly in our jurisdiction of committee. However, we've had those joint hearings because it is important. And I was really glad actually this year that our leadership heard our complaints last year, because that was a big problem for us, where the separation of duties amongst committees. And so in housing, we actually talked about the environment and zoning. We don't get to do a whole lot about it, but we got to contribute to the conversation, which was really important when you're talking about things that you actually want to address. And so that felt really helpful and productive this year. So even in our housing bill, we have permitting things and brownfield cleanup and all kinds of other solutions. So that feels really good.
Great.
Yeah.
Other comments or questions? Okay. As we've done in years past, I will get contact information for our representatives, emails and phone numbers. They're out there publicly, but if you wish to get them through the contact the town clerk and come through to me. I'll have emails and phone numbers if you'd like to follow up with any other questions. So now, brings us back to lunch. Do you want a shorter lunch or a longer lunch? We go 20 or 30 minutes, so let's just, okay, here 30. All right, let's have lunch, and we'll come back for the next article in 30 minutes. All right, meeting's recessed. I am ready. Hey, hello, folks. Hi. Have your attention, please. Okay. If everyone's in agreement, we'll come back to the meeting now. We'll recess lunch to come out of our meeting recess and then resume the business of the agenda.
Yeah, thank you though.
We'll just pause a moment till everyone gets situated.
You guys sit there and stare at that. I've only been by it twice. Oh, come on now, that's my pleasure.
You're going to bring it home and give it away.
I'm just going to put it right here. Right there. You're going to bring it home.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Use it in our
Okay, so the meeting resumes here at 12:58, thereabouts.
Hungry? Yes.
And we now take up Article 33, to transact any other non-binding business that may legally come before the meeting. What is your pleasure with respect to Article 33? Is there a motion? Gary Smith, thank you. Gary moves Article 33. Is there a second? Khaki Pelt seconds, okay. So we're underway here. Gary, would you like to say anything to start? No. No, okay. Okay. Khaki, would you, since you seconded?
The only other business that I wanted to say, bring up, I'm eating a tuna fish sandwich.
Whether that's legally coming from the
And let's see, what else did I want to say? No, I wanted to thank you, Stephen Murphy, for the for this always being so positive and setting us straight, but also for your incredible work with the mock town meeting for the elementary school kids. And people have asked me whether it's in other schools now, and as far as I know, yes. So thank you, because it's really important.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And to answer your question about mock town meeting, yes. Yes, other schools have started conducting mock town meetings of their own. Last year, Rose Friedman from the Civic Standard and myself visited some schools in the area and proposed the idea. So last year, Craftsbury Elementary School, I believe it was grades 3 through 5, held a mock town meeting last year. They did it again this year. Also last year, we visited Hazen High School, middle school and high school. We proposed a meeting. They did what they called, I think it was called Hazen Town Meeting. They did it. And then recently, the clerk from Calais contacted Robin, our clerk, and asked about town meeting. Robin referred her to me. And I spoke to her and explained how we conduct our mock town meeting. And they said they're going to conduct one of their own. So, yeah, I hope to work to bring it to other schools in the coming year. And just on the note of mock town meeting, I want to sincerely thank all the other people involved in making it a success. And that is the students at the school, at this school, all the staff, our town officials, many of whom come to the meeting and help stage and administer the meeting, just like we do town meeting, and also our library, who supports the mock town meeting and provides related reading material to the school. So thank you all very much. Okay, yes, Robin.
If you haven't attended one of the mock town meetings for the schools, you really should do it. They are very passionate about the articles.
Yeah. And very sincere too.
They are.
And as
They're
I'm
concerned about the smaller students.
Yes. And there are real stakes. There are real stakes involved. They decide traditionally on 2 articles how the school will spend its time. That usually comes in the form of a free day in which they may take a field trip. So they get to decide where they go, how they spend their time, and how they spend their money. There's usually some discretionary money that the school has, and it's entrusted to the students to make the decision about how that will be spent. So, just to summarize my experience, and I think I'm not alone, is that the mock town meeting is educational, it's inspirational, and it's fun. So we'll keep it going. Yeah, great. Yes.
Say what?
Carol Ray. Can we still have the microphone? Okay. Talk loud. Okay, Carol Ray.
I'm just saying, give an overview of what the kids had to decide on, because it was tough.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I will take the liberty of deciding that this may legally come before the town unless there's objections. It's a kind of a community effort to do this. This year we had at stake the field trip. They got to decide whether they would go to a bowling alley or whether they would go to a lake for a camp day that involved hiking, swimming, and fishing. So there was some good debate on that. The trip to the bowling alley, as we all know here in our town, is sort of a novelty. We don't have any right here in town. So there was some good debate on that. Students decided to take their field trip, go on camp day. So that was the first article. The second article was on whether the school should spend its money on a Frisbee disc golf set or on a tetherball set. The Frisbee disc golf set would be used in gym class. The tetherball set would be installed out here on the playground. Yeah, and that vote was not close, overwhelmingly in favor of the tetherballs. I think some of that was based on the argument that the school already had frisbees. So.
We used to have a tetherball.
Oh, used to, okay.
Our son lost two of his teeth.
Uh-oh.
With the tetherball.
That didn't come up
They
as
were
a-
his baby teeth. But just possible.
Yes, Jonah Beecham.
With the permission of the Assembly, I have a non-voting resident who would love to say something about
A non-voting resident who participated in the mock town meeting who'd love to speak.
My name's Dylan, and I think the mockdown meeting is an amazing experience for students, and it really helps them to learn what it feels like being having a voice in the town. And it'd be even cooler if we could do the supporting Friends of West thing with the food at mocktown meeting.
Thank you. All right. Are there any, I'll just make a few brief comments that I was asked to make here. We're not done yet. We're not done. So there'll still be time for other discussion. One, this was presented by Paul Council, who is the chair of the Woodbury Conservation Commission, and he asked that I read this here to the meeting. And this is a notice about the Conservation Commission snowshoe outing. It's to be held on March 8th, 2025, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And the notice states, come join the Woodbury Conservation Commission for a community snowshoe trek in the elementary school wetland area. Beautiful area right out here. We will head out to the woodland edge and look for evidence of the local wildlife and birds that utilize that area. We also hope to encounter a few signs of early spring. Meet at the Woodbury Elementary School parking area on Saturday, March 8th at 10 a.m. Dress warmly and don't forget your snowshoes. The second notice that I'll make is at a request from our town clerk, Robin, that anyone elected to town office here at today's meeting must sign an oath of office declaration. Is there a date by which they must do that?
ASAP.
Okay. Now, if any of you are here, please do it before you leave. That would be efficient, and then Robin would contact others who aren't here now. Okay. Are there other comments, discussion under Article 33? Okay. Hearing none, without objection, we will close debate on Article 33 and move on to the final article, which is to adjourn the meeting. Are there any motion to adjourn the meeting? I see very clearly in the back, Mr. Roy Demers moves to adjourn the meeting, seconded by Keating, seconds. Okay, yielded to Andrew Grace, second. We have a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor of adjourning the 2025 Woodbury Town meeting, say aye.